My name is David Whatman. I am a lawyer, then a businessman, then a lawyer again now. My journey with Safeguard has been over a long period, probably since 1988, when I first went into business. And that's when I first encountered Safeguard as a service provider. And during the course of my business career up to probably 2010, I experienced them in various manufacturing, retail concerns and service industries. And I have had a long association, and I had an association originally with Mr. Ted Mallon, the founder of Safeguard. And throughout that time, I would say that in every business that I was in, the issue of safeguarding the assets of the business was always an issue. Generally, in most businesses, it is a competitive issue, so it is done by tender, etc., and we were public listed companies. And in all instances, I think our preferred supplier tended to be Safeguard. We had experience of other firms, and eventually in all of the businesses that I was running at that time, we ended up with Safeguard as our preferred supplier. That gave me a very long-standing and a very close relationship with Safeguard. They were significant businesses. The retail business in particular was 42 stores, 7 warehouses, 2 manufacturing factories. So we were a very large client, and I've always found Safeguard, from Mr. Ted Mallon originally, and now Mr. Andy Mallon, his son, to be highly professional. I think guarding generally is a very tough business to be in. There is always blame to be put on the guards, on the alarm. It's not without its problems. The guards go to sleep. The guards are in league with either staff or with others coming to do harm to the business. Those things are all issues that need to be tackled. But when they need to be tackled, they were tackled. They were tackled up front and openly and transparently. And where there was found to be fault, one of the big reasons we kept with Safeguard was because they would put their hand up and say, yes, we're in the wrong, and either insurance would pay or they would pay themselves. So I think the key for me as a customer with Safeguard was that they were always engaging. They did not just keep an arm's length relationship where they expect you to pay the bill and they provide the service and that's it. Always engaging, always transparent with what was going on or not going on, and always prepared to discuss the kind of services that were needed. And obviously over that period, since 1988, a lot of things have changed. In an era where manufacturing and marketing and accounting and bottom line were all highly important, but added to that since then, obviously we went into an era of computerization, of management information systems, of improving systems generally. And of course, past 2000, we get very much into the digital age, which is now where it is. And as you continue to heap on those different challenges that those eras presented, I've always found that they adapted extremely well to those. And as a customer, you want to know that your service providers are keeping current with whatever is happening. And I think that's incredibly important for any customer, to know that the guys you are dealing with are aware of what's going on in your business. So I think the key word for me is engagement. I think that's understanding the customer and engagement with the customer on their needs, and those needs are constantly changing. particularly in Zimbabwe, we know things can change from day to day. So you need to be flexible enough to be able to change those services, to scale them up, to scale them down, to alter from a manual system into a digital system, etc. And that's incredibly important. So my journey as a customer spanned whatever that is, from 1988 to 2008 to 2010 probably, which was quite a long period. After I left business and returned to my job in law as a legal practitioner, I was approached by both Mr. Mallins to get involved, as I'd been a long-standing customer, with them to try and assist in taking the group up to the next levels that they were seeking to do in terms of a scale-up. And in 2011 or 12, I think it was, I joined their board being the holding company. They were the majority shareholders at that stage by some distance. They were going through a process of, again, engagement comes into mind, of engagement with in the indigenization route, which was the business of the moment at that stage. And they were going through the indigenization route with their management team and others, but looking to retain the majority shareholding. And since then, I have been involved as the chairman of the holding company for Safeguard, and as representative of the major shareholder, we obviously have board meetings in which we look at the operations of all the subsidiaries. Originally, Safeguard was just Safeguard guarding as such. Over the many years, including the time when I was a customer, it evolved into the various divisions that are now within the business, and again reflective of the changing needs of the customers and businesses in general in Zimbabwe. There was need for engineering, there was need for alarms, there was need for digital platforms, and I think the focus now has become more and more onto the digital era, and now we have CCTV, we have tracking systems, we have the biometric access, we have biometric cash in transit mechanisms, etc. And all of those are reflective of an ability to change the business as the demands of the customers changed. So I think that's a fairly long-winded story, but a story of some 28 probably years of dealing, some 35 years of dealing with Safeguard. I think as a business in Zimbabwe, you have to be flexible. The most famous expression in Zimbabwe is make a plan, and we have to do that as business people on a regular basis, sometimes a daily, weekly basis. And I think that flexibility has to be built in to the business, irrespective of the fact that it is a large business. If you're not able to change your products, if you're not able to change the levels of service, if you're not able to move with your customers, then as a service business, you're not going to succeed. And I think that what you can look forward to is, with Safeguard, is that you have a business of very significant scale. It is well resourced, it is current, and it is able to switch into new technology, it is able to switch into scale, it is able to switch into something which is completely new to them very quickly. I think that's incredibly important to customers. There was no such thing as biometric access at a point in time, and we were able to switch to that very quickly. If we were to win a tender to take on 200 or 300 guards that's a very significant scale up. And that is a scale up that a lot of companies would not be able to take on. So I think that flexibility, scale, and the adaptation of new technology are the strengths there. The focus of any business in Zimbabwe is to try and get a balance between so many things that we have to deal with. We are dealing with economic problems, we're dealing with socio-economic problems, we're dealing with legacy issues of debt, of currency, we're dealing with legacy issues of indigenization, of social issues that are brought to the table in any business. And I think if you're not aware of those, if you don't acknowledge them, and you're not actually tackling them on a day-to-day basis, I think your business is destined to just have problem after problem. And like any business in Zimbabwe, we have had our fair share of those issues, whether they be worker unrest, whether they be unfair treatment of workers, whether they be unfair treatment of management, whether that be along racial grounds, along socioeconomic grounds, etc. And I think if you're not dealing with those as real business issues, you can't find a place in the top echelons of Zimbabwe companies. And you need to acknowledge them, you need to be tackling them as business issues. They are real, they affect everybody within the business, and we would like to think that we identify those, acknowledge them, and deal with them in the best way that we can see as we go through the business of any day. And I think if you were to measure companies, the larger companies in the marketplace, the most successful are the ones that do that. I think the ones that do not do that, do not acknowledge them as real business problems, and do not tackle them and deal with them on a day-to-day basis, are the businesses that will always have those as nagging issues. And you cannot afford to have them as nagging issues. They become sideshows, and those sideshows detract from the real business. And I think that that's an incredibly important aspect for all management to do. I think the other thing is that we are also in an era within business generally of strong governance. And I think if you don't put in governance structures throughout the business from top to bottom, and that's not just a board of directors that has proper and complete oversight of the business. It is all of the systems that go down through the subsidiaries, the divisional boards, the reporting back, the management information systems. If you don't have strong governance systems, you will fail in your governance of a business. And I think that that's an incredibly important part of the era that we're currently operating in. So that's my take on where we are currently.